So another mindful practice that I find immensely valuable, right, is mindful movement. You all know I talk with my hands. Now, I don't know that. There's not a consciousness to that. Right? But the movement does help to create a flow. When we begin to be conscious of the way we walk, right? And so we do walking meditation or just mindful walking. I mean, I realized that as I got older, all right, I stopped picking up my feet as far as I used to, okay? And I would find that I would stumble or be on a stair. Well, I also started with the dog to walk the dog, and so I'm now much more conscious about the way that I'm walking and skipping, and I dance every once in a while while I'm walking the dog. But I also learned and did a pick up your feet, pick up your feet, pick up your feet. It was my mantra for a while. When I wasn't doing something else, I would be doing kind of the pick up your feet, pick up your feet, pick up your feet, pick up your feet. But it begins to change how you feel physically. Those of you that are really physically fit, one of the things that brings energy to us is we feel that in the moment. You come back from the gym and you have a feeling. It's a... And when we dance, and we can dance enough to get lost in the dance, that's the temple dancing or the mandala dancing or the, they've got a lot of different words for it, but just going in and somebody puts on music and you just move. And in that movement you begin to explore and feel your body. Yoga as a practice. I really believe that yoga has been a real part of me staying physically fit. And not just from a flexibility and physical way, but because I also am trying to pay attention to where I am while I'm doing it. I'm doing the pose, and how does that feel, and which muscle is being stretched, and can I do it a little bit more, and just, and there's a whole little thing that goes on, but I'm present at a different level in a yoga class, which, by the way, does not mean that I run off on a thought, okay? And sometimes from yoga, there's these really good, juicy thoughts, okay? And then I'm gone for yoga for that moment. I'm over here, right? But then, somebody says, okay, change position, and I got to come back again, okay? But I get these little tangents, and I get the ones where, especially the muscles that are sore, that I can be much more into those muscles there. But again, what we're doing is we're paying attention. Shen just came back from a workshop that she did in China, all right, that was 5-element, but it intrigued me, and there was much about how this worked that I was fascinated by. It'll be the next exercise we do when we all get together here in Swantip. But the exercise was that there was a kind of a Qigong movement, but not one that was formulated, all right? It was just a free-flow movement, and the teacher would do the movement, all right? And then you were to follow that movement, but with your eyes closed, or even blindfolded, right? And so, of course, he's doing this movement, and you're trying to do the same movement, all right? And in order to do that, because you can't see it, you have to pay attention to the energy. So for the first little while, you probably peek. Okay, I'm over here. And then you don't know how to do it. But then maybe you just settle into kind of feeling the energy. And then what becomes important is that you begin to dance. Okay? Doesn't matter whether the movement follows the teacher's movement or not. It just becomes the flow. But you remember when we were kind of doing the bowls and we were singing the Om and we were just all over every place and it was really crazy. But as we did it, we began to start to harmonize. We begin to start to connect at the vibrational level that allows us to come together and something else happens and we go, whoa, that was cool. I just thought that that was really interesting because, look, most of you have kind of been down in the, and you know that you can move energies, all right, with movement, all right, when we do this. And we do it all the time with not even recognizing it. Come here, over here. We don't actually have to say the words, we just do this, and oftentimes that's what we do. We have a whole communication system, if we pay attention, that also is even beyond anything to do with our physical postures, but also our vibrational postures. But learning to dance, I mean, I walk the dog and I skip and I walk backwards for a while and I dance around. It's another story, I don't know whether you've heard it or not, but I'm out walking the dog. We're in a different part. I have him off the leash because there's not any traffic on this road. And so he's off the leash and I'm playing and singing a song and dancing away and kind of kicking out my heels and I do a turn and I turn around. And there's a man on a bicycle that stopped, okay? Because I'm like taking up the whole road. He doesn't know where to say. He's like stopped, and I go, "Oh, Sawadee Krap, how are you?" And he looks at me, and then he turns around and goes back the other direction because he's come up behind me. What fun! And you know, I know that it was something that was really good for him because a week or two later, all right, I'm waltzing down the same avenue and he comes with a big smile and watches me and then decides to go on through. You know, we are so worried about making fools of ourselves that if you remember what we did when we did singing down in the Ganesh temple, that what you do is you learn to beller, all right? You just scream. The first thing we got to get out of the way is getting over making a fool of ourselves. So if we beller, okay, just scream. Well, then that's done. And then we can settle into just being mindful. And if we're mindful, because we're doing that to the drone of the bowl and it's a vibration, our vocal cords can do vibration to vibration without having to get that translated through the electrical impulses of the mind and then go down to the vocal cords. And then it's a hard thing to learn how to sing in tune. And if somebody disrupts that and says, oh, you're singing off key, or you become self-conscious, and then the more self-conscious you become, the more afraid you are, and then it's easier to just define yourself as I can't sing. Which, if you tell me that immediately takes you down to the Ganesh temple. And if we are not there, you can sing. It's only you that thinks you can't, and that's the you that's the one that's stuck in self-consciousness. There's a you that's bigger than that. That you can see, that big one, that mindful one, that one that we practice every time we allow ourselves to be who we are, really are. Not that image, but the soul, the substance of us. That's the practice.